Gonna go see some dinosaur bones and tracks today. These fossils date back to the early Cretaceous. It's really cool to think about dinosaurs walking around here when it was a mud flat. There was a shallow inland sea in a lot of this landscape, and the tracks and bones from these animals are still here millions and millions of years later. Here on the dinosaur bone trail, you're saying that there's sauropod bones here. 4 feet to your left and at ground level are various bones of a sauropod. So 4 feet to my left and at ground level looks like these darker colored areas of the rock are actually fossilized bones from millions of years ago. Behind me in the rock are 3 fossilized leg bones. In this sandstone shelf here are 2 vertebrae of a dinosaur, and right next to it there's this burrow, which has clearly been used by some small animal recently. Once your eyes start adjusting to what the fossils look like in this particular rock, you can start seeing a lot more. A lot of the pieces of rock along this hike have purple fossilized chunks of what used to be dinosaur. It's pretty wild to think about. There's a layer of greenish mudstone behind me. This place was much wetter when these rocks were deposited. These are all sedimentary rocks, meaning that this was a lake bed or stream where sediment deposited over many years and then eventually solidified into the rocks we see today. Fossils only occur in very specific places where the rocks form encasing these organic materials, so the traces later turn into rocks that we can see. They often get exposed so that we can see them through a bunch of erosion, a big difference in the climate, so that now the bare rocks are exposed. If it remains a mud flat forever, you can't really see anything that's fossilized down below. Sometimes there's a fault, so the rocks get pushed up into a mountain range. That's why you may see fossilized seashells on the top of some mountains. They were once part of the seafloor. These are fossils of some tail vertebrae. Imagine how big an animal would have to be for this behind me to be its shoulder blade or even part of a rib. Quite a big pack rat nest under this overhang. Today this is a rocky desert environment, but 150 million years ago there was actually a gravel stream bed here. This rock shows the gravel that was deposited at that time and compacted into a rock. It looks pretty much like the gravel you would see in a stream bed today. It's amazing how much the same it looks. These are some fossilized fragments of wood. My hand is for scale. These might have been a cycad, ginkgo, or conifer tree. You can see the curve of the ancient riverbed in some of these rocks. Wow, look at this. This round opening is actually a fossilized tree trunk in cross-section. So the tree trunk used to be here, and then it formed a fossil within this ancient stream bed. They think this was a pine tree. Isn't that so cool? You can see the whole thing. We saw a lot of dinosaur bone fossils, which are really cool, but seeing plant fossils is actually really exciting because it allows you to imagine and reconstruct the landscape as it might have been that many million years ago. 150 million years ago, this was a gravelly stream with rather large pine trees growing near it. That helps you put the dinosaurs into that setting of where they used to live. Dinosaur bones can create fossils, but dinosaurs can also create fossils if they step in just the right kind of mud, leaving tracks, an impression of the dinosaur's foot as it was 150 million years ago. There's a dinosaur track site near here that was only noticed in 2008 and reported to the BLM. So the archaeologists came in and identified all of these tracks. There's 8 different kinds of dinosaurs at least who walked over this ancient lake bed with algae. Dinosaurs walked all over the place, but this particular time their footprints were preserved so that we could see them today. I've walked all over the place, leaving a lot of footprints, but the majority of my footprints have eroded away, perhaps within a day or certainly within a year. It's so unlikely that any of my footprints within my lifetime would be fossilized for later. It's interesting to think about it. What traces, if any, would be left after I'm gone? As humans, we have the possibility to be almost uniquely destructive to our natural environment. So thinking about the traces that we leave often boils down to how little damage can I do as I'm passing through the world. Hike safe, always bring enough water, and in this case, drive safe. We have to go back up a 4x4 road, but it'll be a little bit of an adventure. Wish me luck. Heading out to the Mill Creek Dinosaur Tracksite. Gonna see some dinosaur tracks. In sandy, gravelly ground such as this, tracks don't last very long at all. The tracks that I'm leaving on this trail are hardly visible now, and they will be gone very quickly. This place used to be muddy and covered with algae. This specific muddy environment allowed the dinosaurs to leave footprints that lasted for 150 million years here. Behind me on the ground are some crocodile tracks, a couple of footprints, and a sort of slide into the water. Now, crocodiles have been around a long time. Crocodiles lived at the same time as the dinosaurs. When you think about crocodiles' environment, you know, like in Florida, they live in wet environments. This is a great indication that it used to be very wet here, kind of a place where crocodiles would want to hang out. This is the boardwalk that they put up to protect the tracks in the middle, and also some interpretive signs so that you can see what the tracks are. The tracks of a medium-sized carnivorous dinosaur. Yeah, I can definitely see them. Must have been a big animal striding across the mud here. There's 17 steps here from a very large dinosaur. They haven't found a skeleton, fossilized bones of this particular dinosaur, but they found the tracks that indicate that this dinosaur must have been very, very large. You can see the tracks here and here. It's amazing to imagine how big these animals must have been. We think that dinosaurs likely had feathers. We're not sure what color they were. Nothing like what we can see today. except maybe birds. Very large birds, but also lizards. There's several different kinds of dinosaur tracks here. Some of the carnivores have those distinctive three-toed or two-toed prints. There's also herbivores, some of which have a more rounded foot like an elephant. Some of these dinosaurs we only know about because we found the tracks, not the bone fossils. At least not yet. This site was only found in 2008, and more fossils will help us have a more complete record of all the dinosaurs that were here. Sandstone and mudstone of the Cedar Mountain Formation formed about 112 million years ago. At that time, these dinosaurs had the really unusual fortune of walking on mud that would solidify into rock and be preserved all this time. Well, this is a very adorable spiky dinosaur that left tracks here. This dinosaur left a two-toed footprint instead of a three-toed footprint because it actually picks one of the claws up. This is the first place that these type of tracks were discovered in North America. It's a little hard to see a few of the tracks that the interpretive science talk about, but that's why there's the expert paleontologists who are looking at and interpreting these tracks. Thanks so much for joining me on this cool walk to see dinosaur bone fossils and dinosaur track fossils. Not something you get to see every day. Grateful for the opportunity to see these traces of ancient animals. For more great hikes, please like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.